The desperate signal commander Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the UES Prometheus, watching the stars through the reinforced viewing port. The Deep Space Patrol had been routine until 20 minutes ago when Communications Officer Danny Rodriguez burst onto the bridge with news that would change everything. "Commander, you need to hear this," Rodriguez had said, his usually calm demeanor cracked with excitement and concern. The signal he played was unlike anything in their databases. The voice was melodic, almost musical, but underneath the alien beauty was pure desperation. Now, as Chen reviewed the translation provided by their linguistic AI, she felt a chill run down her spine. The message was simple yet terrifying. "To any who receive this transmission, we are the Zephyrians of the Kepler Nebula. Our worlds burn, our people die. The harvesters have come and we cannot stop them. If there are others among the stars who value life, please help us. We are the last." Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's xenobiologist, entered the observation deck carrying a tablet filled with analysis data. "Commander, the linguistic patterns suggest they're remarkably similar to Earth's cetacean communication methods. Complex, layered with emotional undertones." Chen turned from the viewport. "What else do we know about them?" The signal originated from a system approximately 8 light-years away. Based on the energy signatures embedded in their transmission, they possess advanced technology, possibly more sophisticated than ours. Webb paused, consulting his notes. "But here's the interesting part. They specifically mentioned in their message that they searched galactic databases for strong species before sending this plea." "Strong species?" Webb's expression grew serious. "Commander, I think they found information about Earth, about humans. The timing of their message corresponds with ancient probe data that various alien civilizations apparently collected about our planet over the centuries." Before Chen could respond, Rodriguez's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. "Commander Chen to the bridge immediately. Priority Alpha communication from Earth Command." The bridge buzzed with activity as Chen arrived. On the main screen, Admiral Patricia Reeves appeared, her weathered face showing the strain of command. Behind her, Chen could see other high-ranking officials in what was clearly an emergency session. "Commander Chen," Admiral Reeves began without preamble, "we've received your transmission of the alien distress call. This is humanity's first confirmed contact with an intelligent alien species. The implications are enormous." Chen straightened. "Yes, Admiral. What are your orders?" "The Global Defense Council has been in emergency session for the past 6 hours. We've detected massive energy signatures moving through the sector where this signal originated. Whatever these harvesters are, they're real and they're active." Admiral Reeves leaned forward. "Here's what we know from deep space monitoring. 3 entire star systems in that region have gone dark in the past month. Not destroyed, but their energy outputs have simply vanished. Something is systematically consuming entire civilizations." Weight of those words settled over the bridge crew. Chen felt her heart rate increase, but her voice remained steady. "What are my orders, Admiral?" "You're being promoted to Task Force Commander, effective immediately. The UES Valiant and UES Defiant are en route to your position with additional personnel and equipment. Your mission is to investigate this threat and render assistance if possible." Chen nodded. "Understood, Admiral. What about first contact protocols?" Admiral Reeves's expression darkened. "Commander, according to our deep space sensors, if we don't act now, there may not be anyone left for first contact protocols. The energy signatures suggest the harvesters will reach the Zephyrian home system within 72 hours. After the communication ended, Chen gathered her senior staff in the briefing room. The holographic display showed the stellar region where the Zephyrian signal originated, now marked with ominous red zones, indicating the dead systems. Lieutenant. Commander Alex Torres, the ship's tactical officer, studied the display with professional interest. "Commander, assuming the Zephyrians are telling the truth about these harvesters, we're looking at a force capable of eliminating entire civilizations. Our 3 ships, even with upgrades, represent a fraction of the firepower that apparently failed to stop them." Chief Engineer Lisa Park spoke up. We do have advantages they might not expect. Human technology developed differently because of Earth's hostile environment. Our redundant systems, kinetic weapons, and adaptive engineering might surprise them, Dr. Webb added. There's something else. In analyzing the Zephyrian message, I found references to Deathworld species. Apparently, there's a galactic classification system for planets and their inhabitants. Earth is classified as what they call a Class 12 Deathworld. Meaning? Chen asked. Meaning most galactic species consider our home planet uninhabitable. The gravity, weather extremes, radiation levels, geological instability, and biodiversity all fall into ranges that would kill most known intelligent species. We're apparently the only known sapient species to evolve on such a hostile world. Torres leaned back in his chair. So they called us because they think we're tough enough to handle whatever's coming. Exactly, Webb confirmed. The Zephyrians specifically searched for Deathworld species when they sent their distress call. They believe our adaptation to extreme conditions might give us capabilities other species lack. Chen stood, decision crystallizing in her mind. Then we don't disappoint them. Torres, begin tactical analysis of unconventional warfare strategies. Park, I want our ships modified for maximum adaptability. Webb, keep working on the Zephyrian language. We're going to need to communicate effectively. 18 hours later, the small human task force dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian system. What they found exceeded their worst fears. The system was a war zone. Debris fields floated where space stations once operated. The beautiful blue-green world that had been the Zephyrian homeworld was partially obscured by massive mechanical constructs that clung to its surface, like metallic parasites. My God, whispered Navigation Officer Kim Walsh. Those things are the size of continents. On the tactical display, hundreds of smaller contacts moved between the larger constructs. The harvesters were not ships in any conventional sense, but rather a swarm of mechanical entities that seemed to be systematically dismantling everything in the system. Commander, Rodriguez called out, I'm receiving a transmission. It's weak, but it's definitely Zephyrian. The main screen flickered to life, showing a being that took Chen's breath away. The Zephyrian was tall and slender, with iridescent skin that shifted between blue and silver. Their large eyes held intelligence and desperate hope. I am Ilana of the Zephyrian Council, the alien said, the translation coming through clearly. Are you the Deathworlders who answered our call? Chen stepped forward. I am Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Force. We received your distress signal and have come to help. Ilana's expression showed a mixture of relief and disbelief. You came. The databases said Deathworld species were unpredictable, but we hoped. The alien's image flickered as explosions lit up the background. Commander, we have perhaps hours before our last refuge falls. The harvesters consume everything, our cities, our people, our knowledge. They leave nothing behind. What? Can you tell us about their capabilities? Torres interjected. They adapt to any weapon we use against them. Energy weapons become ineffective after the first few strikes. Their hulls regenerate damage. They coordinate perfectly, as if controlled by a single intelligence. Ilana paused as another explosion shook their location. But perhaps you Deathworlders have methods we have not considered. Chen made a split-second decision that would define humanity's first impression on the galactic stage. Ilana, we're coming to get you. Transmit your location. Commander, Torres warned quietly. We're outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Chen smiled grimly. Then it's a fair fight. These harvesters have never faced humans before. They're about to learn why Earth is classified as a death world. The 3 human ships dove into the system, immediately drawing attention from dozens of harvester units. The enemy constructs were unlike anything in human experience. Flowing, organic-looking machines that moved with predatory grace through space. Incoming weapons fire, Torres announced. Energy-based, highly focused. Evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered. Park, deploy countermeasures. The human ships twisted and weaved through space with an agility that clearly surprised the harvesters. Where other species might have relied on shields and armor, human vessels used speed and unpredictability. Torres, target that lead construct. with kinetic rounds. Let's see how they adapt to good old-fashioned momentum. The Prometheus's railguns spoke, sending tungsten projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The rounds punched through the harvester's hull like it was paper, causing massive internal explosions. "Direct hit," Torres shouted. "It's breaking apart." But Chen's satisfaction was short-lived. The other harvesters immediately began altering their hull configurations, apparently adapting to the kinetic threat. "They're learning," Park observed. "But look at their formation." Chen studied the tactical display and smiled. "They're adapting to our weapons, but they're not adapting to our tactics. They still think like a collective intelligence. Torres, prepare the Crazy Ivan maneuver." "Commander, that's a submarine tactic from the 20th century. "Exactly, something they've never seen before." The human ship suddenly reversed course, cutting thrust and spinning to face their pursuers while momentum carried them backward. The unexpected maneuver caught the harvesters completely off guard, and the humans unleashed a devastating barrage at point-blank range. 3 more harvester constructs exploded before the swarm could react. But now they were learning. The remaining units began mimicking human maneuvers, trying to match their unpredictability. "They're adapting to our tactics too," Torres warned. Chen nodded. "Then we keep changing. That's what humans do best. We never fight the same battle twice." Fire and fury. Unleashed, as the human task force fought their running battle through the Zephyrian system, Commander Chen received updates that made their situation even more desperate. Long-range sensors detected massive harvester reinforcements approaching from deep space. "Commander," Walsh reported from her navigation station, "I'm tracking at least 300 additional harvester units inbound. They'll arrive in approximately 4 hours." Chen processed this information while watching the tactical display. Her 3 ships had managed to destroy nearly 24 harvester constructs, but at a cost. The Valiant had suffered hull breaches, and the Defiant was running low on kinetic ammunition. "Status report on the Zephyrian survivors?" Chen asked. Dr. Webb looked up from his communication console. "Elana reports approximately 50,000 Zephyrians are holding out in underground facilities on their homeworld, but the harvesters are systematically breaking through their defenses." Chief Engineer Park approached Chen with a tablet full of schematics. "Commander, I've been analyzing the harvester wreckage we've collected. These things are more sophisticated than we initially thought. They're not just weapons, they're conversion machines." "Conversion?" "They're literally consuming matter and energy to create more of themselves. Every destroyed city, every consumed starship makes them stronger." Park's expression was grim. "But I think I've found a weakness." Chen leaned in as Park explained her discovery. "Their adaptation protocols are incredibly advanced, but they're also predictable. They follow algorithmic patterns when they modify themselves. If we can create enough variables fast enough, we might overload their adaptation matrix." Torres joined the conversation. "What kind of variables?" Park smiled. "The kind that only humans would think of. We're going to turn our mining equipment into weapons." Over the next hour, Park's engineering teams worked frantically to modify their ship's industrial equipment. Plasma torches became short-range weapons. Gravitational ore processors were reconfigured into tractor beam disruptors. Most importantly, the massive industrial fabricators aboard their ships were reprogrammed to create ammunition from asteroid debris. "It's completely insane," Park admitted as she showed Chen the modifications. "No sane species would try to fight a space battle with mining equipment." "Good thing we're humans, then," Chen replied. The breakthrough came when Elana provided crucial intelligence about harvester behavior. The Zephyrian scientist had been studying their enemies for weeks and had discovered something vital. "Commander Chen," Elana's image appeared on the main screen, her form flickering as she transmitted from deep underground. "We have learned something important. The harvesters are not the primary threat." Chen frowned. "What do you mean?" "They are fleeing something. Our deep space monitors detected massive gravitational anomalies in the galactic core regions. The harvesters are not conquerors. They are refugees. They consume our worlds because they need resources to continue running from something far worse." This revelation changed everything. Chen realized they weren't just fighting an invasion. They were dealing with a desperate species trying to survive, something that had driven them from their own territory. Lana, what are they running from? We do not know. Our records speak of ancient warnings about something called the Void Devourers, entities that consume entire galaxies. But these are myths, stories told to children. Dr. Webb interrupted. Commander, if the harvesters are refugees, then destroying them won't solve the problem. It will just leave us unprepared for whatever is chasing them. Chen felt the weight of decision on her shoulders. Humanity's first contact with alien intelligence was becoming far more complex than anyone had anticipated. Torres, how long until the harvester reinforcements arrive? 3 hours, 14 minutes. Chen made her decision. We're going to try something unprecedented. Park, can your modifications create a communications disruption field? Possibly. What do you have in mind? We're going to board their command, construct and force a negotiation. The plan was audacious even by human standards. Using the modified mining equipment as weapons, the human ships carved through the harvester defensive formations. The enemy constructs tried to adapt, but the sheer variety of improvised weapons overwhelmed their algorithms. Plasma torches created superheated gas clouds that interfered with their sensors. Gravitational manipulators twisted spacetime around their formations, disrupting their coordination. Industrial fabricators converted asteroid debris into swarms of kinetic projectiles that came from impossible angles. They can't adapt fast enough, Torres shouted over the din of battle. They've never encountered industrial equipment used as weapons. The Prometheus, protected by its escort ships, approached the largest harvester construct. At close range, it was even more impressive. A flowing, organic-looking machine the size of a small moon, covered in what appeared to be technological growth rather than constructed components. Boarding teams ready, reported Marine Captain Rodriguez, Danny's younger sister Maria. We've modified our equipment with Park's industrial weapon designs. Remember, Chen addressed the boarding teams, we're not going in to destroy, we're going to communicate. These beings are trying to survive, just like the Zephyrians. The boarding action was unlike anything in human military history. Using cutting torches designed for asteroid mining, the Marines carved their way through the harvester construct's hull. Inside, they found a maze of organic corridors that pulsed with bioluminescent light. It's like being inside a living organism, Maria Rodriguez reported. The walls are responding to our presence. The Marines pushed deeper into the construct, until they reached what appeared to be a central chamber. There they found the harvester intelligence, not a single entity, but a collective consciousness made up of thousands of small, crystalline beings connected by streams of energy. When the Marines entered the chamber, the energy streams intensified, and a voice spoke directly into their minds. It was not translated speech, but pure communication of concepts and emotions. Pain, fear, desperation, the need to survive at any cost. Chen, monitoring from the Prometheus, heard Maria's report with growing understanding. Commander, they're terrified. The harvesters aren't evil. They're scared refugees who have been running for so long they've forgotten how to do anything else. Can you communicate with them? I think so. Dr. Webb's linguistic protocols are helping, but this is more about emotional connection than language. What followed was humanity's first true diplomatic contact with an alien intelligence. Through Maria Rodriguez and her team, Chen was able to establish communication with the Harvester collective consciousness. The story they told was heartbreaking. The Harvesters had once been a peaceful species called the Architects, builders of beautiful structures that spanned star systems. But something had emerged from the galactic core, something that consumed not just matter and energy, but the very fabric of spacetime itself. The Void Devourers had swept through the galaxy's center, leaving behind regions where physics itself broke down. The Architects had fled, but in their desperation to survive, they had been forced to consume other civilizations' resources. Over millennia, the need to keep running had transformed them into the mechanical collective the humans now faced. They don't want to destroy the Zephyrians, Chen realized. They're trying to save them by converting them into part of their collective. It's their way of preserving life. But humans had a different solution. What if you didn't have to run anymore? Chen asked through the Marine's communication link. What if we found a way to fight back against these void devourers? The concept seemed to confuse the Harvester consciousness. They had been running for so long that the idea of standing and fighting had become foreign to them. Humans fight, Chen continued. It's what we do. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day, and we not only survived, we thrived. We don't run from threats, we face them. Torres interrupted with urgent news. Commander, the Harvester reinforcements have arrived, but they're not attacking. They're waiting. Chen realized that her communication with the collective was being transmitted to all Harvesters in the system. For the first time in millennia, they were considering an alternative to their desperate flight. We propose an alliance, Chen announced. Humans, Zephyrians, and architects working together. You have the knowledge of the void devourers. The Zephyrians have advanced technology. We humans have something else, the stubborn refusal to give up no matter how impossible the odds. The response from the Harvester Collective was immediate and overwhelming. Hope. For the first time in their long exile, they felt hope. Over the following hours, the transformation was remarkable. Harvester constructs that had been consuming Zephyrian cities suddenly began repairing them instead. The mechanical swarms that had been instruments of destruction became tools of construction. Admiral Reeves's face appeared on the main screen as Chen transmitted her report back to Earth. Commander, are you telling me that humanity's first contact with alien intelligence resulted in us accidentally forming a three-species alliance against an existential threat to the galaxy? Chen smiled. That's correct, Admiral. Also, we're apparently going to need a much bigger fleet. The aftermath of what became known as the Zephyrian Incident established humanity's reputation throughout the galaxy. News of the Deathworld species that had turned a hopeless battle into a diplomatic triumph spread through the galactic community faster than their ships could travel. Within months, Earth was receiving requests for assistance from dozens of species facing various threats. Some wanted human military advisors, others requested human negotiators. All of them had heard the same thing. Humans were the species that didn't know when to quit. Commander Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on the observation deck of the new UES Harmony, humanity's first diplomatic vessel. Through the viewport, she could see construction ships from 3 different species working together to build humanity's first interstellar embassy. Dr. Webb joined her, carrying reports from across the galaxy. Admiral, we're receiving requests, faster than we can process them. Everyone wants to know more about the Deathworlders who turned enemies into allies. Chen nodded, watching a Zephyrian transport dock with an architect construction module while human engineers supervised the integration. Marcus, I think we're going to be very busy. Any regrets about answering that distress call? Chen smiled, remembering the desperate plea that had started it all. None whatsoever. This is what humans do, Marcus. We hear someone calling for help, and we answer. It doesn't matter if they're human or alien, if the odds are good or impossible. We show up. As if summoned by her words, Ailana's voice came over the communication system. Admiral Chen, we have received another distress signal, this time from the Andromedan Spiral. A species called the Keepers is requesting assistance against something called the Shadow Fleet. Torres, now Chen's first officer on the diplomatic vessel, looked up from his console. Admiral, preliminary analysis suggests we're looking at a minimum 6-month journey and unknown hostile forces. Chen walked to the command center, feeling the familiar thrill of facing the impossible. Torres, signal the fleet. Tell them to prepare for another rescue mission. Admiral, Dr. Webb called out. You know this is going to become a pattern, right? Every time we help someone, word spreads and more requests come in. Chen settled into her command chair, looking at the tactical display showing their route to the Andromedan Spiral. Good. The galaxy is a dangerous place, Marcus. Someone needs to be the ones who show up when things look hopeless. She paused, thinking of all the species they had already helped, all the alliances they had forged, all the threats they had faced down through sheer human stubbornness. Besides, she added with a grin. We're humans. Hopeless odds are our specialty. As the UES Harmony and its escort fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Admiral Chen reflected on how humanity's first contact with alien intelligence had established them not as conquerors or diplomats, but as the galaxy's emergency responders. They were the species others called when the situation was desperate and conventional solutions had failed. It was, she thought, a perfect job for Deathworlders. The stars beckoned with new challenges, new species to help, new impossible odds to overcome. And humanity, as always, answered the call.